Up until this week, most of, or actually all of the demos we've been showing you have been run in one of our local development environments, usually on Tom's machine, and I think once or twice on my machine. And that's been somewhat challenging, just in the fact that it was hard to replicate those environments and even get Jamie and Paul up and running with similar configurations. And all of this has to do with all of the wiring that gets changed in the application as we move from Solar 4, Solar 5, and Fedora 3 to Solar 6 and Fedora 4. One of the biggest things this week that I think is exciting for me is that we do now have complete deployment scripting, configuration and deployment scripting to allow us to run in a production environment in our side on Amazon, and that should be able to be pretty easily modified to target your deployment environment. That's exciting because it means that we have a lot of the wiring and plumbing done, and that it's also having our deployment scripts means that we can automate the deployment and pieces of the testing. So we have that. One of the pieces that we've also been working on, I think I've mentioned earlier, is pulling out our database authentication and authenticating against our LDAP services. This will make an easier handoff for Tufts in the future. So we've been pulling that out, and as we move forward, the next few days we'll also be doing the rest of that, incorporating Tufts has a branch of code called LDAP right now that you always have to apply whenever DC has been handing off code. We're merging that in so that that'll be a permanent part of the code that runs both in our environments and in yours. So that'll be a useful change and save some time on the Tufts side. So we have the admin landing page, which we've seen before. Tom has been doing a fair bit of work. I don't have any objects populated right now, but Tom has been working on getting search and faceting to work, and we'll shortly have some sample objects in here and show those things. The key piece that's still outstanding for us is the full wiring for the create a new object. So right now I'm going to get an error page. But Paul is working on this to get the MIRA behaviors and the selection of what kind of work you want to create wired into then pointing at the proper hierarchs creation forms that then incorporate drafting objects and publishing objects. One of the other challenges is this catalog controller work that Tom's been working on. In addition to the main catalog controller that drives the main admin view, there are child versions of that or dependent versions of that controller that manage unpublished objects and also that manage the metadata templates. So getting all of those to work in a Blacklight 6 hierarchs friendly way is one of the pieces that we're keep peeling away layers of errors on and working towards. So again, most of these are going to fail in some way when I try and click on them at this point, but being here will be one of the things now that we're working on, sort of individually getting each function to work together. One of the exciting things I mentioned again earlier, but just to show again, is that we have continuous integration running. So last time we looked, we had 602 examples, I think, and well over 400 failures. So having this in place is going to let us break the work down into much smaller pieces. The first thing we're going to do actually is mark all the failures and tag them in their own group so that we have clean running continuous integration. That will tell us if any of the changes we make going forward are breaking things that we think we've already fixed. And then we'll pick off individual ones of these tests or test suites around particular functions, and that will give Jamie and Paul and I something much more concrete and actionable to help Tom out with as we move forward. So I think that's an exciting change in how we're going to be able to work going forward. There is a Waffle Board that has all of the tickets from all of the repositories that are impacted, so mostly Tufts concerns in MIRA, but also any tickets in our demo repository where I showed the workflow from, Epigaya, and also Tufts models. So all of that's consolidated here to see our work. You can also see our day-to-day work in terms of the commits that are going on. So again, there's lots of work going on. So here you can see all of the code that was generated on June 21st. So yesterday. Um, Unfortunately, again, most of the time right now, that's just fixing one error to reveal the next layer of error. But hopefully we're turning the corner on that fairly shortly and be showing some higher level functionality as we go forward. So I'll send links to all of those things that I've shown today. And then again, hopefully tomorrow we might even have a few more pieces in this admin interface to show actual sort of user-facing functionality rather than just we fixed failing tests. So that's it for today, and we'll be back tomorrow with a little bit more.